Hi everyone, and welcome to our video on the full moon eclipse in Taurus. I'm Emmeline Muldoon with Emmeline's Astrology, and I'm here today, as always, with Jim Delacolli. Hi, Jim.
Hi.
We get together twice a month to talk to you about the new moon and the full moon. So this month is a biggie because it's the full moon eclipse that's happening on the 8th of November. So this is very, very interesting for lots of reasons. We have been talking to you all year about October and November being crazy times. And this eclipse, it falls on election day. So that's one thing here in the US. But the chart, I think the picture I got in my mind when I looked at this chart, and you can see we're sharing the chart with you here, is fireworks. That's kind of like explosions and fireworks that you didn't know were coming, like when you step out into the street and your neighbors are setting off fireworks. That's kind of the image that comes into my mind when I look at this eclipse chart. So the full moon eclipse is exact at 6:01 a.m. here on the East Coast. This chart that we have here is set for Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you live elsewhere, as we always say, just ignore the houses, just look at the planets. So Jim, this Uranus is causing some lightning bolts in this chart.
Yeah, I'd like to, one of my, I'm an Aquarius rising, and I have Uranus and Pluto exactly conjunct in my chart. So I actually love the energies of Uranus, and most people hate them. I think chaos would be the one word definition that everybody can agree to. That's why you and I are going to be, how do I want to say? I don't want to say careful, but we'll wisely choose our words tonight, as
yes,
Uranus and the moon are the exact same at 16 degrees of Taurus, exactly conjunct, of course, in a total eclipse of the sun here.
Yes.
With several planets involved. So yes, we got all kinds of, my biggest, I wrote chaos, but my comment will be to all of you is, however it exposes itself initially, it is not what it seems, or it's not as it appears. So know that, and don't get too trapped in the chaos that will ensue, because about anything is going to go here, and you just got to be ready.
Yes, and the other thing about Uranus is it's the unpredictable. So as much as we're looking at this and saying chaos, fireworks, we don't know exactly which direction it's going to go and how it's going to play out, but for certain it's going to be chaotic.
Yes.
When you get the moon and Uranus together in a birth chart, it can be a little bit erratic sometimes, or emotional, or at worst unstable with your emotions, or your emotions, you just don't always control them. They're overflowing, overflowing with love or overflowing with anger, whatever it is, they're just overflowing. So with this chart, you can see, I'll just draw on it for people that don't know what the planet symbols look like, but Uranus is over here. It's on 16. The moon is at 16. It's on it. It's exactly obviously opposite the sun as well at 16. So it's making the moon, our emotions, crazy. It's going to make them heightened and sensitive, and things are going to come at us. But like you said, Jim, we might not get the full picture straight away.
Yes. And I always remind people, when you deal with Uranus, it always leaves you better than you're found. It's just a matter of, you can apply patience to a chaotic scenario, and then Uranus works in weird ways, like it brings something totally new or revolutionary, or it brings something from the past that worked, and we somehow didn't allow it to continue with our lifestyles, and we kind of it faded in the background. It comes back, where the moon represents our past in astrology, and silver, and the sun represents where we're trying to go in gold. So I threw that in there for everybody that could take a hint.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into detail, but let's watch this thing unfold.
Yeah, and of course, in the sign of Taurus, Uranus coming together with the North Node and the eclipse, because that's what makes an eclipse, the nodes being there with this full moon. That is money. Taurus
Yes.
is our money systems, it's the banking. So we're seeing a little bit of maybe uncertainty or things that break away with Uranus, like you said, leave us for the best. But also with the eclipses, we get the endings of the old and the
Yes.
beginnings of the new. So
And,
we're looking towards what the new is as well here. That's a good thing to sort of hold in your mind and think about.
and a full moon is just that, culminating, right? You're ending something.
Yeah.
The moon is bright at night when you're supposed to not be able to see, and the moon lights up the environment. So yeah, it helps you see some of the things that maybe weren't visible. And that's why the full moon's a time to really be active, end things, take action. All that's going to need to be done with all of us. So.
Yeah, and it's moving us towards our collective as well, because obviously Taurus is a sign that sort of represents that, and the North Node moving us towards our path. So we're all being shaken up in some way.
Yes. Yep. So it's going to be fun. Always remember too, Taurus is the first of the Earth signs. So let's build a good base from all that goes on. Maybe we rid ourselves of ways of being that aren't good, and we make them better. So I'm looking at that as well as this is. We talked a little bit on the last video about these eclipses will then occur in early 2040s. So this is the last run here, right, where they're going to pair up.
Yeah.
And so this is a chance for us to change from within. So know that as we talk about the other things coming. There's a lot to go over, so we're bouncing around, but we want to cover the notes we made. So
Yes. Yeah. And there's just seems to be a little bit of uncertainty in the world. I think even looking at the UK and the politics over there at the moment, we were talking about that when we first started. The eclipses, we're seeing the ending of one leader, beginning of another. That can often happen with eclipses as well. So, throughout the world, we're seeing these changes, new beginnings coming in. The other interesting thing about this chart that I picked up on is Jupiter. Now, Jupiter actually went back into Pisces today. And we're filming this on the 28th of October. And at the time of this eclipse, it's at 29 degrees of Pisces. Jupiter, this is the last stint of Jupiter in Pisces. It's been in Pisces earlier on this year. It won't go back there for another 12 years once it's done. It went in on the 28th of October. It goes back. It will be there until the 20th of December. So these next 2 months, Jupiter is asking us to be compassionate and look for the good of everyone and not just ourselves. So I think that's a really good message within this chart, is what's good for everyone, not what's being selfish and good for us. So bear that in mind as we're looking at Jupiter and how that's operating. And I referenced Grant Louis in his book Astrology for the Millions, because he actually says that in your birth chart, if you have natally have the Jupiter in Pisces, that it's a good idea to use it, not to keep yourself satisfied, but if you're keeping like everyone satisfied. I'm paraphrasing him there, but that's a good, I was just thinking that that's a good way to sort of use it for this eclipse, is don't just think about what you need. What do we all need right now? Because Jupiter makes things bigger. And in this chart, Jupiter is sextile in Pluto. So that is definitely big.
yes.
It's making the chart big. So that theme sort of came into my mind when I looked at this eclipse chart with that Jupiter going back into Pisces, and you see Pluto's at 26. So they are in a sextile.
Yes, and Neptune's with Jupiter, and I'll just add
Yes.
everything that you said because it's spot on. Just step back and become more before you try to move ahead. So just add that to what everything Emily just said because she's spot on with what she said. So
Yeah. And I
step
guess
back.
also, yeah, sorry, Jim.
No, I just saying, step back, take a look from a different perspective than just you, just yourself, just, how can I benefit? Step back as you were saying, and what's
Yeah.
good for all of us here. You may have to change a little bit, and that's fine.
Yeah. I think Jupiter coming together with Neptune, sometimes we can be there can be like delusions or a fog or,
Mhm.
at worst people say fraud, don't they? But
Yes.
the one thing we need to think about with when those two come together, try not to think about the bad form of it. Think about using your heart as a guide, your intuition, and not your head. That's kind of what I think Jupiter, Neptune, Pisces wants us to do.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good.
Yeah. So this
Well,
chart is asking us to work a lot. Saturn is busy in this chart. And when Saturn's busy, we are working or we're meant to be working. If we're not doing the work, Saturn's not happy. So in this chart, you've got Saturn squaring Venus, Sun, Moon, Uranus, the nodes. Oh, and Mercury as well.
Mercury, yes. Yep.
So busy. He's a busy one in this chart. So he's asking us, Saturn square the sun. You're working, or at least you feel like you're having to work. You're exhausted. Saturn square you Venus. Now that could be friction with money or love.
Yes.
Something that you're working on in that respect.
Mhm.
Uh Saturn square Mercury. We're having to work out what well, I suppose Mercury being in Scorpio, what's true again. That's coming up. We've seen that a lot over the last few months.
Yes. And the planets you mentioned, the Moon, Sun, Venus, and Mercury, are all personal again. And last video was about Pluto squaring those. This is about
Yes.
Saturn square. And so again, these will be conflicts with others. So get ready. I mean, I have a laundry list of things that I dealt with between the eclipse that just occurred and this one coming. And so it's going to be about the truth, as you said, but it's also about sometimes you have to get to the truth, but you got to go through the hell part of all that, which is the lies, to get to the truth or to have a better understanding to even start truly finding the truth. So you're going to deal with both of those. And that's an absolute guarantee. I can guarantee you that one. So,
Yeah, and we're going to work on it, the information,
yes.
once we get it. So yeah, definitely busy. We don't have much time. That's why I'm filming this today. I'm so sorry with a bit of a cold. Apologies to everyone, but we wanted to get this done. It's important, and we enjoy doing these videos. So just bear with me today.
Yeah, you're doing good so far. Good job.
Thank you.
So, the other squares I'm just going to throw in there are Jupiter, Mars, and then Neptune, Mars. So,
Yes.
Mars likes to go, do, move.
Yeah.
I think Neptune kind of wants to feel, right? So you're going to be a little bit aggravated from those perspectives. We're looking at signs themselves or
Yeah.
Pisces and Gemini. So they're, one wants to think and bring logic, and the other one don't want to do either. It wants to feel and it wants to like realize and let those emotions run. So this is going to be we're going to see some conflicts. You'll have them within, you'll have them on the outside. You're going to see them. Know that, and or maybe your passion will be stirred, and you'll find yourself finally speaking up. That might be a good thing. I don't know, but those are the options there, and whatever you want to add to that.
The only thing that comes into my mind with those is music, I suppose. If looking at it from a higher form of energy, is Jupiter, Neptune in Pisces, squaring Mars in Gemini. Like we're talking about words and finding the words. So, I guess if you're composing music or wanting to listen to music, there might be some words in a song lyric that just become prominent for you, or emotional, especially with that Uranus moon, you know, during this time. Might be connection to music, I guess.
That's good. That's good. All in that line. I like that, because that's something that we need to add to that. As many words we can get to everybody, I think the better. So good. That's good. Good point.
Yeah. And you know, because Mars in Gemini is a skill with words, it can also be being harsh with words, but it can be, like we said before, using them in a skillful way.
Yes.
So that can be lyrics.
Yeah, and sometimes just the tone of the song can take you somewhere better too, right? So no, that's good. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah. So it might be a good way to bring yourself centered during this eclipse, music, if
Yes,
you've got some tunes that resonate.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there is a lot of aspects. I mean, we we would be here all night if we spoke about all the aspects. We were saying that earlier, but we're just trying to convey to you, I guess, the general impression of this chart, and um what the firecracker Uranus and I guess the Jupiter Pluto is getting us, is magnifying it, it's making it big, it's making us work on it. So definitely a huge amount of energy with this chart. So I guess with it being on election day, we did think about this before we started recording, didn't we?
Yes.
A little bit, talking about how, you know, all this energy is going to, what we've been talking about this whole video, it's going to be present during the election. So there's going to be that type of energy there. So you know, like hopefully there's not too much of a debate or like war with the words, like with the Mars in Gemini, or a battle. But with Mercury being so close to this eclipse as well, there might be some more stuff that comes out with it, with the election and how it works, or so forth, the system. We should just watch for that, because Mercury, you know, it rules communication, it rules like the systems that we communicate with, and that would include like how we're voting. So like the methods. So I guess that's, you know, something to think about. You know, because there's been elections in the past, hasn't there, where Mercury stationed retrograde on the day and it's just gone a bit chaotic. So I'm guessing with Mercury being there with this one, it might present in a similar way.
Yes.
We'll see. I mean, with Uranus, there's no guarantees. We just don't know how it's going to work out.
Yeah, I love Uranus because it reminds us all that we need to be humble no matter what we learn and know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So, well, I summarized. I don't know if you want to add anything else, but I summarized last time first. I'm gonna let you go first. I feel like I hog it up, and then you have
No.
great points that sometimes I think you may forget or whatever, because I did the first summary. So, unless you want to add something, you got anything else we missed? You think? Or
I just think that this is going to be, like you said, stuff that we find out, stuff that we might be sensitive about, and people making this, you know, the Uranus moon is shocking information, and then also people that make quick decisions. So you might hear people during this eclipse saying, I'm going to move, I've decided, I'm going to quit that job, I've decided. That's the kind of energy when it's in your birth chart that those people have within them. But with this eclipse chart, it might be that you're seeing people around you going, I just don't want it anymore, I can't take it anymore, I'm quitting, I'm changing, I'm leaving this, I'm moving on. And you know, obviously there is that friction with I think the Uranus is the biggest thing about this chart. The Uranus and the moon is a friction, but this is an eclipse. So we're letting out what's going to let in what's coming. And the crazy chaos is here. But you know, just focus on, I suppose, the things are going to be a bit unsettled for the next couple of months, but just focus on, like how we said at the beginning, Uranus is trying to bring us to a better place. So think about it in that sense if you do feel a bit overwhelmed during this eclipse period.
good. And now, so I'll add the parts that I'm sitting here thinking as you're talking.
Yeah.
I talked about end times because of where Pluto is in Capricorn.
Yes.
This is like a flashpoint time. So we're gonna, the two opposing signs of Scorpio and Taurus. Scorpio is the power, the hidden, it's like all the things that churn slowly and have to be revealed or have to be learned slowly and over long periods of time. And then Taurus, the opposite of that, is where we begin the physical plane and we have to start finding how to be stable and how to build things and have bases and figure them out. So we're going to be seeing all that. And so, my biggest thing here is with Mars and Gemini and seeing the planets that we have in the opposing signs of Taurus and Scorpio, and then where we have Pluto and Saturn. It's about the truth, but you don't have the truth right now, and I don't have it. Emmeline doesn't have it, but there's a lot of truth that's going to continue to come and expose itself coming from the beneath the surface, so we can figure it out, whether you'll be able to see it or feel it or however form it comes with this total eclipse. Just know that you might have an about face, as you said earlier, and you might totally just change, right? Well, that's what eclipses are here for, to do that. So give yourself some space to just be open, be ready, and know that there's all things are possible. The greatest of miracles can happen, or you might think it's the worst thing ever, but know that as each of them expose themselves, you have time or let time pass, throw patience into all this, because as it unfolds, we're going to get ourselves to a way better place. That's kind of the promise here, but we can't get swung between the extremes. So careful as you go. There's a lot coming. This election is going to end up being nothing what you think. So get ready. The financial part, as you said, the money thing,
Yeah.
you watch the stock market, we got crazy everywhere. I'm going to say get some popcorn, sit back and enjoy. So.
I'd say that. Oh my gosh, I've said that before. That's so funny. That's so true.
Yes.
I often do that with astrology. I sit back and just observe, because we know this is going to be crazy. So get the popcorn.
Well, Emmeline and I talked before on this, and we both want to really be. I want to be a big observer. I know you're supposed to take action, but my biggest action is going to be to observe. And I think we both, you and I, talk about that, because I don't want to swing the 40 different ways that you may end up getting pulled or drugged or whichever however it occurs. I want to make sure that I really learn and I become so much more after this, because there is so much that's going to change. So just try to take that approach. I know Emily.
Yeah, try. I mean, sometimes you might not.
You might not be able to, but
you might not be able to, even with the best intentions. But yeah, definitely try. The other thing that just occurred to me with this chart as well is Jupiter and Pisces, sextile Pluto, and making that square to Mars. Maybe do not drink too much.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking
Absolutely. That's
too much alcohol, too much, some people that may do drugs or something like that, where they lose themselves. There might be a temptation to just want to lose yourself. And just try not, because it will go, it's gonna go bigger than what you maybe think it's going to go. You don't want to get too drunk in this time.
That's a great point. Great point.
Yeah. So just try and just observe. Maybe don't leave the house during the eclipse.
Yeah, I always try to hide during eclipses. Everybody kind of knows it, that knows me now. So but I think that's the best way to handle them, because then you can really gather who you are, how it's really changing you from within, because that's really all we can do is change ourselves. So we appreciate all the support. Last video we had some decent views. We hope you continue to share. Please comment. I know there's some unbelievable people watching these videos.
Oh gosh.
So please comment. We love the comments. We will share. We will get back to you, but please do, because it's good for all of us. We're all getting to a better place when all that occurs.
Yeah, we you never stop learning astrology, and a lot of especially the younger clients I've been having, they've done so much work of astrology. So it's always interesting to hear from others and their perspective.
Yeah, and one last thing, I keep seeing that something else with Mars and Gemini. It's going to be there through, I think, March. We talked about.
Yes, March. Yeah.
We're going to have a passion, or maybe we'll be stirred by being pissed off of wanting to learn, wanting to know, wanting to figure things out. Maybe you want to be a teacher and pass what you know, or maybe you want to be the student and learn. Don't forget that, because Mars is going to be in here for a while, and that's the first of
Mhm.
the air signs. So do not forget that opportunity.
Yeah, and Mars would have just gone retrograde, wouldn't,
Yep.
on the 30th. So
Yep.
it's retrograde during this time. So what we're doing, yeah, we might take a couple of attempts before we get there.
Yes, and that's definitely okay.
Yeah, that's what it wants us to do. It might
Yep.
seem frustrating, but it wants us to do that.
Yep.
So that's good. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. And thanks, Jim.
No, thank you. I'm glad you fought through being sick and stuff, and I hope y'all get better. So we're
Thank
looking
you.
for a good recovery from you, and
Yes.
thank you, everyone. Enjoy.
Yes. Thanks everyone. Until next time. Bye.
Bye bye.